All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're setting the stage today for a really fundamental shift in how we think about human-AI interaction. For decades, right, we've been totally conditioned to interface with our machines through these thick layers of abstraction, colorful windows, hovering cursors, hidden background processes. But what if all that shiny stuff is actually limiting our potential? Today, we're exploring a massive paradigm shift away from that passive experience, and we're zeroing in on the rise of the agentic typewriter and the sovereign pilot.
Since we're weaving together some pretty dense architecture and deep philosophy here, this roadmap will guide us step by step. We'll start with the GUI dead end, move into the universal text interface, break down sight and the sword arm, look at orchestrating the AI swarm, and finally wrap up with the sovereign pilot.
So, Part 1, the GUI dead end, where we expose the fragile nature of modern graphical interfaces.
I want you to consider this quote. We get the chimpanzee hitting buttons, but we chat with each other. We could be hitting buttons, but it isn't as good. This just brilliantly hits the nail on the head. Forcing us to click all these shiny graphical buttons actually dumbs down our ability to express complex thoughts. It literally reduces us to seeking a quick dopamine reward. We're trading the deep nuance of profound language for the absolute simplicity of pulling a colorful lever.
When we juxtapose this, we see exactly why GUIs are such a dead end for real AI automation. The graphical user interface is heavy. It's this invasive, error-prone translation layer. When AI tries to automate on a GUI, it has to resort to fragile screen scraping, taking messy pictures and basically just lossy guessing at what to click. If a website changes a single pixel, boom, the automation breaks. But compare that to the command line interface, or CLI. It's lightweight, it communicates directly with the hardware, and it uses 100% exact text logs. There's no visual bloat and absolutely no guessing.
Which brings us to Part 2, the universal text interface, and how we escape that probabilistic miasma. To really understand the solution, let's look at the legacy of historical teleprinters. The simplified RTTY, or radio teletype system, is what grounds our modern digital execution. These historical systems weren't about rendering pretty graphics at all. They were about shifting frequencies to transmit explicit marks and spaces. That exact historical logic, a continuous, unending stream of pure textual information echoing right onto a page, is the foundation of bridging human intent directly with physical machine execution today.
And here's how that works in practice with the 4-step PTY channel pipeline. This isolated pseudo-terminal channel creates a seamless loop where literally nothing gets lost in translation. Step 1, you have a direct, text-only pipeline straight into the machine's brain. Step 2, you input natural text at the speed of thought. Step 3, the AI agent reads this perfectly lossless, pure text straight from the PTY channel. No decoding graphics required. And Step 4, it executes and logs the exact provenance of every single action. It is an absolutely uncompromising deterministic bridge.
Let's move to Part 3, sight and the sword arm, looking at the core anatomy of modern AI orchestration.
We need to start thinking of the CLI not as some basic chat box, but as the agentic typewriter. We're talking about a system, like the Gemini or Magic Core CLI, that natively bridges your human imagination straight into physical silicon computation. And it does this through pure, explicit text, keystroke by keystroke. It acts as a purely deterministic scripter, executing exactly what you intend.
The architecture maps out perfectly into distinct physical roles. Down at the base, we have the ground, the metajet substrate, which tracks the metabolic state of the whole mission. Above that is the sight. This is your slitty HUD. It's the terminal interface where you monitor live telemetry, context utility, and your coordinates. But the actual strike, that's the Gemini CLI. It acts as the sword arm. It doesn't sit around deliberating, it strikes. It executes forensic tasks in parallel based on your exact intent, orchestrating the entire workflow natively.
Okay, Section 4, orchestrating the AI swarm and executing the forensic assembly protocol. Using that sword arm CLI, the pilot orchestrates a highly specialized sequential lineage of AI agent cells. The human stays at the root, directing the strategy, while intent passes like a digital baton step by step through this swarm. Telesilla, Perictione, Phaedon, Praxilla, Hippodamus, and Miltiades. These are not random programs, guys. They are intensely focused identities maintaining absolute structure without ever losing your original direction. Now, 55.5 million. That massive number is absolutely staggering.
This represents the tokens of metabolic flux, the raw computational energy, or what we might call the digital sweat of a modern mission. To put that into perspective, that is the raw digital horsepower required by the AI swarm to translate one single human's intent into a verified sprawling digital reality. It perfectly quantifies the immense effort churning just beneath the surface. And that massive flux is followed immediately by 66 precise forensic strikes. These are the exact intentional human interventions needed to maintain state-invariant inheritance across the entire swarm. These strikes prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the human is actively steering the machine. You aren't just kicking back in the passenger seat letting the AI drive. You are intervening, coordinating, and managing the exact outcome.
Finally, Section 5, the sovereign pilot, and reclaiming control from the cloud.
We're essentially taking the historical tools of Paul Revere's Midnight Ride and translating them into modern digital architecture. Just as the 1775 realizer, Paul Revere, used raw physical execution on horseback to deliver a precise message, the modern witness uses the digital ledger and the agentic CLI to cut through all the noise. It's a direct, totally uncomplicated translation of sovereign truth into physical action today.
This brings us to the concept of hexacity. It's the absolute, unique, sweat-of-the-brow realization of a sovereign pilot in one very specific moment in time. True sovereign action isn't about passively letting some algorithm run in the background. Achieving hexacity demands genuine, intentional human effort. You are literally providing the sweat of the brow to map your vision onto reality, actively protecting your intent from the probabilistic miasma of AI hallucinations.
So I want to leave you with a final provocative thought about your own relationship with AI. What will you build with your own agentic typewriter? Are you ready to ride? Will you settle for being the chimpanzee just hitting shiny buttons and a fragile graphical interface? Or will you grasp the sword arm of the CLI, claim your role as the sovereign pilot, and demand absolute truth from your machines? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the systems you use.